This week on the Hypothetically podcast.
Fuck you, man. I'm a little aggressive after the week I've had. Actually, I've had a pretty good week, but I've had some trials and tribulations. First off, some great news. I'm auditioning for Last Comic Standing. I personally have somewhat of a track record, I would say, with, fucking up on audition shows or big shows. As you know, there were leaked photos of Jennifer Lawrence and Kate Upton and, hundreds of other fucking actresses. A couple guys called it the Fappening, named after the sound. Fap, 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 fap. I was getting trolled, as they say. Full troll. These dudes were just pretending to be me and tweeting racist stuff, and it was horrible. And holy shit, they started coming after me with full fucking force, and they were writing Will Noonan is a woman hater, which is not true. Will Noonan is a sex crime committer. Will Noonan's a rapist. Yeah, the R word. And I'm just a Irish Catholic fuck who lives in fear. Really ate a lot of my own cock that night. And, that's unpleasant, because then you get the cock shits the next day. Classy joke.
You're listening to the Hypothetically podcast with Will Noonan.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you are. Thank you for listening to Hypothetically with me, Will Noonan, coming at you live right now from my air-conditioned studio, otherwise known as my 2006 Honda Accord sedan, cruising down Route 93 South in New Hampshire right now. Just did a show up in Manchester, New Hampshire at Headliners Comedy Club in the Radisson Hotel. Just had a great time, and I'm happy to be podcasting again. Sorry, it's been a couple weeks since the last episode. Things have been busy. We'll get into all that now. I like saying the opening to this podcast. It always makes me happy when people tweet the good afternoon, good evening. No, wait, good morning, good afternoon, good evening thing. I think that's, I can't be the first person to ever say it, but I definitely don't know who says it. It sounds kind of like that thing from The Truman Show, good morning and good afternoon. What does he say? And if I don't see you, good morning. And if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, or something like that. And, but I started thinking of it as, I think the way I came up with it was, I used to just say whatever time it was, good morning, or whatever. Wherever I was, whatever time it was where I was at. And then I was like, this is a podcast, man. The people who are listening to this are all over the country and all over the world and listening to it at their leisure, even if they live right next door to me. That doesn't mean they're listening to it at the time of day I recorded it, of course. So I figured that out, and I've been happy with it, and it's fun, and I hope you guys like it. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. It's here to stay, so fuck you, man. I'm a little aggressive after the week I've had. Actually, I've had a pretty good week, but I've had some trials and tribulations. First off, some great news. I'm auditioning for Last Comic Standing on September 22nd in Boston at Laugh Boston. Don't get super excited yet. This is just an audition to be on the show. It's not like there are going to be a bunch of cameras there and you're going to see me on TV. This is to see if you can see me on TV. But they are publicizing the show, and anyone in the Boston area who wants to go to laughboston.com and grab a ticket to the show September 22nd. I'm on the 7:30 show. There's 2 shows. There's 15 comics from Boston on each show, and it's going to be fucking awesome, man. I'm excited to be a part of it. It's a very exciting opportunity. It's only 3 minutes of comedy in the audition, which is a very short period of time. Just did 35. Felt like it flew by, and now I'm off to go do just 5. But 3 minutes, that's infinitesimal? That's infinitesimal, if that's a word. Even when you're starting out, I think I got 5 minutes the first time I did comedy, at open mics and stuff. 3 minutes is really short. It's tough to select the material, and not to mention, I personally have somewhat of a track record, I would say, with, fucking up on audition shows or big shows for stand-up. You know, stand-up comedy is such a tricky bitch, man. You don't just throw her in a contest and expect her to act the same as she always does, you know. Jokes are like the weather or like the breeze, man. They're wild. They can't be harnessed. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. Sometimes they work in a new way you've never seen before, and sometimes they fail in a new way you've never seen before. You never fucking know with a joke. And then you put it into a 3-minute scenario, you can get into your head. At least I can. That goes all the way back to the Boston Comedy Festival years ago. Did the prelims, found out like a day before, so I didn't have a lot of time to psych myself out. And didn't give a fuck about it, really. Went to the prelims, crushed it with a 5-minute set. It's a really good set, had a good time. Great response from the crowd. Got moved on to the semifinals in the Boston Comedy Festival. But then I had a few days to prepare. I wanted it at this point. Wanted to make it to the finals. I was inexperienced. I was probably 4 years in at that point. Yeah, this was like 4 years ago. And, excuse me, went up. Invited my family, which I would never do now. Went up on stage and kind of mumbled a word in the first joke. I had to follow Nate Bargatze, who's one of the funniest fucking comedians in the country, and then Flip Schultz before him, who's also one of the funniest fucking comedians in the country. So the crowd had been laughing hard. And then it got to me, this like shaky kind of 4-year guy. And I will not lie, guys, I ate it. I bombed. I ate a dick. I got a few laughs here, a few laughs there. I salvaged some dignity, but it was just not good, and didn't move on to the finals. A lot of people joked about how bad my set was. And, you know, I had myself to blame. I psyched myself out all day. I, like, worked out. I fucking ran over my set hundreds of times. That's not shit I normally do for, like, well, I might work out, but I'm not going to sit around all day and think about my, you know, show normally. It's hard to explain, but... So, since then, I did a Comedy Central audition, and that was a little bit the same. It was probably... I didn't bomb on that set. I had, like, a good set, but I wouldn't say, like, I was myself. I wasn't my comfortable, regular self. And then... What else? The Boston Comedy Festival this year, I had a bad fucking set, but that was more because I walked out and I saw the judges were all people who didn't like me, and I was like... I got into, like, anger... Not even anger, that would be a lie. It was more like deer in the headlights mode. I was like, wow, this was a mistake. This was all a mistake. While I'm on stage talking. So it's not like I look forward to these opportunities. Yet I auditioned for film and TV stuff and internet stuff, like, constantly, and I've easily auditioned for 1,000 things in my life. Easily. Probably 2,000. Over the years, since I was 16, I've been auditioning for things, and I don't get excited for those whatsoever, unless it's a big deal. You know, when the pressure's on, the pressure's on. I guess that's it. When I had the audition with Seth MacFarlane, I got a little bit psyched out. A little bit, but not much. I'm better now. The more I do this kind of stuff, the less excited I get. So that was sort of my first thought when I got this Last Comic Standing thing was... My first thought was, don't fuck it up, don't overthink it, but at the same time, prepare yourself, get ready. So, what I've been doing is, I pretty much have chosen my 3 minutes that I'm going to do, and for the next couple weeks, I'm just going to run those 3 minutes on the weekdays. You know, I usually would try and develop like a new joke or new material that I'm working on during the week, but for the next few weeks, I'm just going to be working on these 3 minutes, which is actually like a really... freeing and kind of a funny... I didn't realize that was going to happen. Like, when I made that decision, I had, like, this feeling of relief. Like, I don't have to think about... I mean, I'm obviously going to write jokes down as I think of them and probably do some writing during the day, but as far as doing the open mic nights and the small weekday comedy shows, it's nice to know that I can just do this 3-minute thing and not really have to worry about anything else. And I think that's the way I like to do things. I like to be prepared, and I want to go up there and just like be able to do it the way I do it, wrote like almost in my sleep. It's weird. I go real back and forth on things like that. Like 50% of me is like, oh man, I fucking want to be on Last Comic Standing so bad. Oh fucking, I want to be on Letterman so fucking bad. Oh man, I fucking want to be doing this, and this so fucking bad. And then the other 50% of me is like, that would be so scary. God, even if I get it, that's just like the first scary thing. Then I gotta go on TV, and what if I bomb on TV? You know what I mean? Like, I hear a lot of people when they get the phone call from Letterman, it's like, yes, I got Letterman. And then the next thought quickly behind it is like, oh shit, I got Letterman. And Joe Matarese got totally fucked last week. Former podcast guest, friend of the show, friend of mine, guy I really like look up to, Joe Matarese. Like, he got screwed right over by America's Got Talent. They made him look like a god, getting like a standing ovation in one episode, and then the next episode they made him look like he had no punchlines in his act, which is not fucking true. And then it was like the same week I got the audition, that happened. And I was like, man, like, this is a crazy, crazy business. But I'm very excited about it, and I announced it after the club did. I wrote about it on like Twitter and stuff, and a lot of love from people and a lot of support, and I really dig that. So, and I've been doing comedy long enough to see a few seasons of Last Comic Standing come and go, and I always felt real left out for not getting even like an audition. So it feels good to just be included in the group. But speaking of the downside of, part of that 50% of my brain that's like, I don't know if I even want to be that big time of a comedian. I mean, I do, obviously. Everyone wants to be, because you want to sell tickets, you want to be able to do what you want to do, and to have choices in show business, you have to have fame or success. Like, you can't, or no one's watching your shit. To have choices and have your shit looked at by a lot of people, you need to kind of gather some fame up so you can sell the tickets and fill the clubs, you know? Right now I really don't have much. Got a little, Vine, Twitter, stuff like that, and it's good, and it's growing. Here's why I've experienced my first real backlash, downside of, I wouldn't even use the word fame, I would say internet, almost notoriety, infamy. So, as you know, there were leaked photos of Jennifer Lawrence and Kate Upton and like hundreds of other fucking actresses. A couple guys called it the fappening. If you don't know what that means, fap is a current slang word for masturbation. I'm gonna go fap. Are you fapping in there? Did you fap last night? Just use it in the sentence 3 times for you. Named after the sound fap, 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 fap it makes when you beat your meat. So, these guys called it the fappening. Whoever came up with that term, I take my hat off to you and tip it. You are a genius, and it made me laugh several times over the course of the night. I would just be sitting there and I'd say the fappening and I'd laugh. I love a good pun. Fuck all you. I know it's like wicked in vogue to hate puns. The alt comics hate puns. Everyone rolls their eyes at shitty puns. Those are at shitty puns. A great fucking pun is a great fucking pun, and the fappening is a great fucking pun. So, it's a big pun. So anyway, like I've done in the past several times, I did it when Jay-Z and Solange got in a fist fight. I did it when the lights went out at the Olympics. You know, if there's a big famous photo, I'll often take my name or my schedule or something, plaster it over the photo, and use it to advertise my comedy shows or my, Just a show, usually one show. Sometimes, though, I'll put my whole schedule over a photo. And that's what I did. Let me make sure I'm fucking recording this, because I recorded an entire 40-minute podcast that didn't record at all. So, I take this photo. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to take one of these photos. I intentionally chose, you can tell I'm choosing my words like really carefully right now. I intentionally chose a non-nude, very tame photo of Jennifer Lawrence. I would say the tamest, because it showed almost no skin, but like her arms. And it showed barely any of her face, but like her eyes. You couldn't see most of her face. So I was like, oh, this is a good one, because it shows, yeah, it's one of the leaked photos, but it's not really exploitative. I mean, this is tamer than most of the magazine covers this chick does. And let me just say this now. I'm a huge Jennifer Lawrence fan. I love the Hunger Games. I'm proud to say I'm a fan of the Hunger Games. And I don't... You know, I'm happy I saw these photos. I'm sad for her. I feel bad for her. I'm sure it's embarrassing. And I feel bad sometimes when I eat steak, but I don't kill cows, you know what I'm saying? I just eat the steak. It's a terrible analogy right there, but how do I explain it? I mean, I was just psyched to see these photos of naked movie stars. Are we so jaded as a nation we can't get excited about naked movie stars? As much as I love Jennifer Lawrence, part of what I love about her is how hot she is, and to see her naked was pretty darn cool. Later on, when I saw some of the more intimate ones, I don't want to send anyone searching, but there was one that was like kind of hardcore, and I was like, whoa, okay, now I get it. Now I get why she doesn't want these out. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. I take the tame photo, I put my schedule over it, and then I put it out on Twitter and Instagram, hoping that people will see it while they're searching for the other photos. So, 24 hours, no real response. It doesn't do super well. It doesn't get like retweeted a ton or anything, and I stopped thinking about it. The next day, I'm over my buddy Pat's house, sitting on his couch, smoking weed, playing Skyrim. I was already stressing out about another work-related thing. I thought this guy, sometimes I'm like in this weird zone where I'm trying to only feature and headline as a comedian. And I've been working for some clubs for like a really long time, so when I used to work for them, I worked for them as a host. And, you know, a lot of times bookers and stuff, they don't see much of a big difference between host and feature and headliner. And it's not about the money, it's about like respect. And, you know, I'm trying to get ahead in this business, and the headliners are the guys I'm trying to kind of make impressions on and get them. They're the ones who are going to be out there talking about guys they work with who are funny. The sad reality is they don't look at MCs that way. They don't sit around and watch MCs. They don't sit around and they don't even take them seriously. But before they even meet you, they know you're the MC. They know you're not good. I mean, it's like it's just like a thing in America where the MCs are the least experienced comics on the show, and they're usually 2 or 3 years in, and they're usually like pretty good, but they're usually not that great. That's why they're the MC. So I kind of put a stoppage on MC work, I don't know, like 6-7 months ago or something, and you know, everyone was pretty cool with it. I had to fight a little bit for it at some places, but you know, I was headlining some clubs, and I'm like, man, this is just not right. Like, I'm trying to get myself out there as a headliner. I can't be hosting up in Boston just because I started here. Or, not, I didn't even start here. But just because I, like, you know, came up here. So anyway, I was stressing all in my own head for no fucking reason because this club's website had me not on there, and they had another guy on there, and that made me think they had me hosting when I was supposed to be featuring. And a lot of times with clubs, sometimes they'll tell you, they're going to feature you just to get you to shut up and stop bugging them. And then, like, right up before the show starts, they're like, they brought their own feature, man. You got to host. Like, it's got to happen. And it's like you'd be a huge dick to walk away, and you got to do it. So, in my own head, I was like, that's what's happening to me right now. That's what's fucking happening. I'm getting screwed. I can just... And I shouldn't have, because this guy doesn't... The guy who was booking the show is, like, literally the nicest guy I work for and never screws me. So I was like, it was just me. It was just I had too much coffee and I was stressing out because I was like paranoid. Because it wasn't like I thought he would do it intentionally, but I thought, schedules get messed up. People, there's a lot of weekends, comics, mistakes get made. So I was like freaking out, thinking a mistake got made that would screw me over. And then wringing my hands for no reason because it ended up turning out fine. But in the midst of all that, I take out my phone and I look at it. So I'm already at like an 8. Too much coffee, kind of anxious. I take out my phone and I look at it, and it says I have like 99 plus notifications on Twitter. And I'm like, oh shit. That always means, in my life up until this moment, when it happened, that it always meant something good. That it always meant something I'd done had gone viral. And a lot of people were sharing it. So I get excited and I look at my notifications and I quickly go from excited to sad as fuck because I realize it is all negative. It is all very negative. And I'm like, what is the source of this? Where is this coming from? And some fucking like Z-level actor out there. I don't know who he was. I'm not mentioning his name, but I actually don't remember it, so I can't mention it. But he I know he was in the movie Crooked Arrows, which is a movie about lacrosse. That's like a direct-to-DVD movie. Why is this guy behind me fucking flashing me? Does he not see who's in front of me? Sorry. Crooked Arrows. And, I'm sorry. This guy's being a fucking cock on the road. Drunk driver. So this guy's in the movie like Crooked Arrows, which is a lacrosse movie that went to DVD. I don't think it was ever in theaters. But I've never heard of this fucking guy, ever. I assume he follows me because I've done some work with the lacrosse community. And, or he was searching for J-Law Nudes or Jennifer Lawrence Nudes. But anyway, he says Will Noonan, like, mentions me, at Will Noonan is a piece of shit making jokes about a sex crime, and then shares my schedule photo there with the really tame photo of Jennifer Lawrence that I was talking about earlier. And he had like 50, 60,000 followers, and holy shit, they started coming after me, like, with full fucking force, and they were writing, Will Noonan is like a woman hater, which is not true. Will Noonan is like a sex crime committer. Will Noonan's a rapist. Yeah, the R word. Come on, man. Really hurt my feelings, and I started to freak the fuck out. I'm looking at my fucking feet, and it's coming in like water out of a fucking drain. It's just pouring in. And like I said, I was already at an 8 because I was paranoid about the stupid booking thing, which wasn't even a problem. This is my problem. Creating my own problems that don't even exist. Freaking myself out about something. Then this starts to happen, and I'm with my buddy Pat, and I'm like, dude, like, what the fuck, man? This is like crazy. And he's like, oh, it's not so bad. And then he like looks it up on Twitter, and then he's like, oh my god. I mean, we're talking like hundreds, 300, 400, 500, 600. They're just pouring in. Will Noonan's a fucking piece of shit. But then luckily, and I appreciate anyone who's listening that did it, a bunch of people, maybe a third of the people, maybe a little more than a third, started to defend me and be like, is this really that bad? And people who were fans were like, Will Noonan's fucking funny. He's a good guy. And I actually deleted the Twitter app on my phone and just put my phone away and did like some push-ups and kind of like played Skyrim and tried to forget it, smoked a bong rip. But I could not stop thinking about it. And I was scared to open my phone again. These dudes were just like pretending to be me and like tweeting like racist stuff, and it was horrible. Like it was like I was getting trolled, as they say, full troll effect, and it was the first time it had ever happened to me. And people were saying like that oh god, I can't even remember. I don't even want to give anyone any publicity or send anyone searching for it. So at first I was like, hey man, can you stop like doing this? I spent a minute and 30 seconds fucking thinking about this idea, and I don't give a shit about like, you know, you can tell I'm still kind of flustered about this whole experience. It just baffled me. I didn't get why people were so upset about this stupid idea I had. And I certainly wasn't passionate about it enough to defend it to anyone, so I just kind of deleted all the stuff. I deleted my responses, and then, wouldn't you know it, like an angel from heaven, Joan Rivers dies. And Twitter got so bombarded with pro Joan Rivers stuff, and, you know, stuff about Joan Rivers, and everyone was talking about her. No one wanted to talk about me anymore, and it just stopped on a dime like that, and everyone stopped hassling me, and I tweeted out a nice little thing about Joan Rivers that was mentioned how great of a woman she was a couple times, wink wink. Not that I didn't believe it, but I was like, now anyone who goes to my page will see this tweet here about Joan Rivers and be like, hey, this guy's not a fucking woman hater, he loves Joan Rivers. Which I do, but I went on this morning radio show in New Haven, Hartford, and Stamford called Chaz and AJ. It's on 99.1 in New Haven. And I went on there, and they were kind of breaking my balls because they're like, they always like my celebrity death tweets and like my instant jokes about celebrity deaths. And they're like, man, you went really soft on the Joan Rivers thing, man. You didn't really have anything. And I was like, well, that happened right in the middle of that whole troll like explosion. Actually, if you're interested in that, you can listen to like a few clips from my interview with Chaz and AJ and Pam down there on 99.1. You can listen to it on iTunes. Just search Chaz and AJ on the iTunes podcast search bar there, and a little clip from them talking to me about the trolls and talking about Joan Rivers is on there. And then there's a clip with the weatherman, and I'm on that one too. And so I'll talk about that for a few minutes. I went down to New Haven on Thursday night. I was going to do this thing. I just kind of developed a friendship with Chaz and Pam and AJ down there at this radio station. They're funny guys, and when I went down there to do Joker's Wild, that was part of the gig, was to do the morning radio show. And I had such a good time doing it, and I had such like a... man, the road's making a weird sound right now. It almost sounds like a ghost. I went down there and had such a good time doing it. We had such a good time. They were like, oh, you got to come back sometime. And I was like, absolutely. And then we ended up working it out. It doesn't pay any money, but I just like doing it. And the hotel room was really cheap. I know a cheap hotel down there in Connecticut that I can stay at. And it's fun to just hang out with them and riff and take phone calls. And I spent about 3 hours there. So I go down Thursday night. And I decided to... because it starts at 7 a.m. You got to get up at 6. Like, if I drove from Boston, I'd fucking want to kill myself, you know? So, I decide to spend the night. Big Jay Okerson and his podcast, what the fuck is it called? I'm too baked to remember what it's called. Stupid me. Anyway, his podcast with 2 other dudes who I met that night. Cool guys, Carlos something and another dude. They were all great. They were recording their podcast live at Joker's Wild. My friend Pat Oates runs Joker's Wild. I think he's gonna own the place soon. That's a rumor, actually. I don't know. I just heard that from one of the open micers, so you can take that with a big old grain of salt. But I know a few comics down there. We all just hung out, and it was great. We hung out, and then I'm looking at the clock, and it's getting later and later and later. And I'm like, oh shit, I gotta be up at like fucking 6 a.m. So I hung out with them until like 1 a.m. Then went back to the hotel. Tried to go to sleep right away, but you know how that is, right? kind of like, I mean, I don't know about you, I can't just fall asleep, so I started to kind of like smoke a little grass, watch a little Weather Channel or something. Hold on, I got a cop right next to me, I gotta drive well. Oh, never mind, it wasn't a cop, it was just an asshole who drives like a cop. So, I go back, and then I realize I'm staying, the reason why my hotel is so cheap, or one of the things that happens at a cheap hotel is truckers like to stay there. So there's like tons of truckers, they all get up at like 4:30, 5 a.m., so the hotel starts like banging around, doors start slamming, a lot of noise starts getting made like around 4. So I just had one of those sleepy sleeps where like you feel like you only slept for like the snap of a finger. Like you close your eyes and then your alarm's going off. That's what it felt like. And I kind of woke up feeling the same as I did when I went to sleep, and I was like, fuck it. Power through. Go get a cup of coffee. So then I go get a cup of coffee, and this is one of my favorite things to do. One of the things that is so cool and makes me feel like I'm really a comedian now, and it's fun, like, I don't know, this is corny, but like when I was a kid, like I just wanted to be a comedian or an actor, like I just wanted to be one of those two things. And like when I'd listen to the radio in the morning and they'd have like Bill Burr on or Jeff Ross, like the local guys, I'm not even talking about Stern, like locally, like WAAF in Boston or WBCN, they'd always have the comedian in when he was in town, and I always loved it. It always got me like on the edge of my seat, and I always enjoyed that stuff. And to be the guy, like, so like when I'm driving around when I'm driving there at like 6:30 a.m., I'm listening to the station, and they're like, 7 a.m., Will Noonan's coming in, Boston comedian Will Noonan coming in at 7 a.m., and it's just like cool to hear, it's like holy shit, that's me, and I'm actually going to do it. So, I know it kind of sounds corny or like a brag or whatever, but it really was one of those moments, it can be, you're chasing the brass ring all the time, and you're always trying to get ahead, and you're always trying to create, and you're always trying to innovate, but like sometimes you just got to sit back and enjoy the little the little cash and prizes you kind of get along the way, the little bonuses here and there, and just enjoy it. Enjoy the fact that you have a cool gig. So that feeling of happiness quickly turned to terror as my GPS that was supposed to bring me to the station brings me to like a suburban house. And I'm like, holy fucking shit, I'm supposed to be there right now. It's 6:45. And I'm like, I don't know where I am. And then like, it turns out it's on one of those streets that goes through like 6 fucking towns. So I'm like, holy shit, I realized that I'm like about 1.5 miles away from where I gotta be. And I'm listening to the station, they're like, it's like 6:50, they're like, Will Noonan coming in at 7 a.m., Will Noonan's coming in. I'm like, it might be 7:10, dude. It was kind of funny to have that information. So I ended up kind of speeding through like this suburban fucking neighborhood I was going way too fast, 65, 70 miles an hour through a suburban neighborhood. I rip into this radio station. There's no other cars in the parking lot. It's coming up on 7 a.m. And as I get to the door, which is locked, the producer's calling me. And I'm like, hey man, I'm here, I'm at the front door. Sorry, I went to the wrong address. And he comes down, Phil, by the way, great guy, the producer of that show. He does the sports too, if you listen. If any new listeners from listening to Chaz and AJ, thank you, welcome, and please send me an email and so I can thank those guys. They're awesome, though. I really love going down there. So Phil lets me in, and I'm sitting in the studio, 6:55, made it happen. I'd already had about a cup of coffee at that point. They have coffee in the studio, and I must have drank a whole pot of coffee during those 3 hours, because my hands were humming on the way home. And I think Chaz had like 2 or 3 Red Bulls, so that's how you can do it. You gotta be awake, it's early in the fucking morning. AJ is their kind of funny guy. He's as funny as any comedian I know, and I think he does stand-up comedy too. He's a funny bastard, and it's just fun, man. It's just fun thing to be a part of. I'm a fan of radio. I'm a radio enthusiast, and I always, if feels good to be a part of it, and I thank those guys for kind of like inviting me down there, letting me kind of play in their sandbox for a little while, as you'd say. So did that. It was cool. Chris Berman called in. It was just a cool experience, cracking wise, making jokes. And like I said, you can pick up those clips on iTunes on the Chaz and AJ iTunes page. And I'll be back again, hopefully in November, down there. What else is going on with that? So I left that show, just went straight from there and drove home. And that was like a 2-hour drive, 2.5. Cranked out on coffee. Smoked a little bit of grass. Sometimes when you sometimes if you have too much coffee and then you smoke weed, it's like it's just like a recipe for problematic thinking. You're just gonna start cranking through, or at least me. If I have too much coffee and then I smoke weed, I start cranking through like horrible scenarios, like life scenarios that could happen to me, and that's no good for anybody. But then other times I smoke weed and drink coffee, and I like have a great writing session, and a bunch of usable stuff comes out of it. So you never know. I had some good gigs and some rough gigs last week. I'll talk about the week before all this happened, because I recorded like a whole fucking podcast that didn't record. I think I cursed myself by saying I hadn't done this like a few podcasts ago. Well, I finally did it. I recorded an entire fucking 45, 50-minute podcast. And I looked down, and it's at 1:10, and nothing had fucking recorded. And I was like, no. And then, of course, I was like totally out of gas by that point. I couldn't do another one. So I had to wait like almost a whole week. No, that was too long. It took me too long, but I've been busy as fuck and not sleeping well. So what else? So anyway, I had a couple like strange gigs last week. I did a gig in an Italian restaurant out in Easton, Massachusetts, and Italian restaurant with it was just like a terrible fucking setup for stand-up comedy. It was like they just stuck a microphone up against a wall in this Italian restaurant. They didn't even like move a table to like make space for the comedian. The fucking waiter's like bumping into you while you're doing jokes and everything. It was stupid. And the host had a hard time. And but I ended up walking out of there feeling like $1 million because I had one of those great sets where it starts off terrible and ends awesome. Like you end like with a flourish. Like the first 5, I think I did 25, and it was like 50-50. First 10 or 15 were really rough, and then it ended up being a great fucking set by the end of it. So I was super psyched, feeling great about myself. I think that was on a Thursday. I'm like, man, I was super confident. I was headlining Friday, and then I go down Friday and headline this club. I don't want to say where, but it was just a tough fucking night. Everyone on the show tanked. It was one of those shows where no one gets any laughs, and then the crowd lines up and shakes your hand and goes like, that was a great show. And you're like, everyone was silent. But I guess statistically, every crowd is going to have a few people who are just non-laughers. I don't know why I said that like a question. Non-laughers. But every now and then you're going to have a crowd that's statistically just... The entire crowd is probably going to be non-laughers, because that's statistically just going to happen. So it happened to us all. We got a few laughs here and there, but it was fucking brutal. And really ate a lot of my own cock that night. And, that's unpleasant, because then you get the cock shits the next day. Classy joke. But what was the point of that? The point of those two stories were... You shouldn't get too excited about having a bad set and then having a good set. Oh, I remember. The show, this is why. It's something I've been thinking about nonstop. This is how my fucking brain works, man. So my friends from high school come to the show. I don't mind that my friends from high school see me have a rough set in front of a shitty crowd, because it's like, whatever. I'm a fucking professional comedian. They know I have good sets. They know I have bad sets. They've seen me most of them have seen me have good sets too, so it's okay that if I have a bad one from them. It's not ideal. It's not what I fucking want, obviously. In my brain, I'm not like, I hope I tank. Obviously, you'd love to kill in front of your friends, but it almost seems like most of the time, your friends show up, the show ends up being weird. But this time, a couple of my friends showed up, Eric and Kate, let's call them, for the sake of the story. And they show up, and they're watching me have a pretty bad set. And I noticed Eric gets up like during the middle of the show. After the show, I realized he got up because his wife came to the show. And she got in a little fender bender like right outside the club, and they had to like exchange info, and the cops were fucking there, and it was kind of a headache. I felt bad for her. I'm a big fan of his wife. Like now that I'm an adult, I have friends who are married. Like some of their wives are cool, some of their girlfriends are cool, some of their wives are like, you know, you just kind of put up with them. And again, I don't really take that guy's wife that much. It's just a thing. I don't know. People are people. You like some people more than others, right? But I really like Eric's wife, and I always have thought that Eric's wife doesn't like me that much. I always thought that she just, like, doesn't think I'm that nice of a guy. Because my friend Eric is a nice guy, and I just always am trying to, like, I always feel like I'm trying to, like, get on her good side. Like, she sees right through all my bullshit. She just knows I'm a dick deep down. So, I have a problem with this because I want everyone to think I'm the best. So, I always try and kind of like, I don't know, I don't try and do anything, but I just like really like this lady, friend of my wife's, and I just try not to offend her or anything like that. And I offend people. That's the thing. I'm a comedian, and my old friends know that I can be an ass and act like a jackass and act like a dick and say the wrong things, and they kind of just let them go. But like with their wives and stuff, they're like new to the scene and they're new to me, and they don't know my fucking like stupid, goofy side. And sometimes I feel like they roll their eyes at me, or they think I'm like one of my other friends' wives. Like I know she doesn't like me, and I know she thinks I'm like a fucking one of those friends, like, she wishes her husband wouldn't hang out with anymore. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I try and be on my best behavior around this particular wife. So, anyway, one of the comedians comes up to get his lighter back. After the show, we're all hanging out, and one of the comedians comes up to get his lighter back. And I'm, like, introducing my friends. And I'm like, this is my friend Kate. This is my friend Eric, and then I get to Eric's wife, and I kind of have like a brain fart, and I call her Emma, which is their daughter's name, and he was like, oh, thanks, takes the lighter, and like goes away, and I immediately like copped to it and said like, oh my god, I just called you Emma, like, I'm such a fucking idiot, sorry, like, brain fart. But she gave me a look like, you don't even know my name. Like, we've known each other for so long, you know, you don't know my name. And it made me feel like such a dick because I do know her name. And I do, like, think about her and know her. Like, that's my fear. Like, I just don't want my friends' wives to think, like, yeah, good to see you tonight. Like, I don't think about you guys when, like, you're not here. But that's not the way it is. I think about, you know, my friends. Sometimes I think I get caught up in trying to be the world's fucking greatest comedian. And then I end up, like, going like, holy shit, it's been 6 months since I've seen like some of my closest friends. Like, what the fuck? And that is like my fault and on me. But also with this particular wife, her name is Leia. People call her Leia. But on Facebook, her name is like Lenore. She's from El Salvador. And I've also heard her called like Leo and Leia and Lenore. And you know, I'm just a Irish Catholic fuck who lives in fear of mispronouncing shit and all that. And I think I just had I think my brain wires crossed, and I just said the baby's name because I was searching for, should I say Leia? Should I say Leo? Should I say Lenore? And then I said the baby's name, and I think she was slightly offended or ticked off, and I can't stop thinking about it. I've probably thought about this more than the Last Comic Standing audition, if I had to be totally honest. I'd say maybe once every 15 minutes I'll think about saying the baby's name instead of her name and cringe. These are the kind of things, it's like having a rock in your shoe. These things just get stuck in my head, and I just cannot get it out. You ever eat popcorn, and you get one of those popcorn kernels stuck in your gums, and it's just like you're at work all day, like your tongue is just rubbing up against that thing, and you're like, let me go. You always feel like you're an inch away from, like a millimeter away from just getting that piece of popcorn loose and getting back to normal and feeling that sweet moment of relief when the popcorn thing comes loose, right? That's how my nagging thoughts are about embarrassing or stupid shit that I've done. So I gotta make it up to them somehow. And I know her husband listens to the podcast. I know Eric listens, and so I apologize, man. And I don't want you guys to think that I'm an asshole, because I love you, and I thank you guys for coming. And I should come over. They don't live that far from me. I should see them more. I'm dealing with a lot of guilt right now in this moment. So, what else did I want to talk about? I miss a lot of my old friends. Like, I just saw them at one of my buddies. He had a barbecue for his grandmother, who's getting old, and I don't know why I had to say that. It was like an 85th birthday. She's getting old, even though she looked pretty good that day. It was an 85th birthday party, but he figured, like, good opportunity to have everyone over, because they were having a barbecue, and it was great. Caught up with some of my old friends, Maggie, who I hadn't seen. And it's like, I fucking love these kids, man. It feels like my family's getting back together every time I see them, and I kind of, people are married now. They have kids. People are workaholics. People are in relationships that are outside the group, obviously, now that we're old. And it's like, it's sad. Sometimes when we're hanging out, it's like, I miss those days where we just, this is the crew I used to kill time with. That's when if you're in high school right now, it feels like you're bored and you're like killing time and you got nothing to do and it sucks, but the sad thing is, those are the best times. Like, looking back, those are some of the best fucking times. Just sitting in a basement, one guy's like lying down, one guy's fucking leaning up against the wall, one chick's fucking like playing with her hair. And you're just like, what the fuck? But then you end up getting in a great conversation. That probably doesn't happen as much anymore, because everyone's probably just on their smartphones, like coordinating something cool to do, or bullying somebody, or getting some sad kid to hang himself. Hey, let's fuck up somebody's life today, man. But yeah, man, pills, and Eric and Kate and Maggie and Nick and Nate, and Mike, and we used to just hang out, and sometimes we'd get fucked up, but other times we wouldn't. We'd just talk and listen to music. And those were good times, man. There's a little bit of a melancholy feeling about, like, those days are over, and they ain't never coming back. Maybe that's why I became a comedian. It's the perpetual fucking kill time job. Like, where it's always sitting around talking, or sitting around shooting the shit. And you do kind of never really get out of that high school mentality. I was making shit jokes with a guy earlier today, a grown man, up in Manchester. I'm on my way to Cambridge right now to do this other show. Let me look at my little list. I think we're almost done. We got maybe 5 minutes left here. Let's see if I can hit upon one of these topics. I got a bunch of questions. I saved them. I'll write them down. I have written them down. I'll do them on the next podcast. Shout out. I just want to say shout out. Ooh, shit, I almost just ran over a fucking bunch of college chicks. Nope, Bachelorette. It's the Bachelorette. I want to say shout out and a thank you to Pat Oates, who Mentioned him earlier down there at Joker's Wild, but great fucking guy, and I forget why I wanted to talk about him. Why did I write down Pat Oates? Maybe I already did what I wanted to do. I feel like I'm forgetting something. There's something about Pat Oates that was funny that I wanted to bring up. Oh, we buried the we've buried the hatchet long ago, me and him, but now we kind of talked about it. Like before, we just kind of said like, hey, it's over, like no big deal, and went back to just being buddies. And now it's kind of like we actually were comfortable enough to like talk about it. And you know, it was really, a lot of it was on me because I thought I had bad information. I thought he was like more involved with this thing. I got fired. I've only been fired from a comedy club gig once, and it was from this place that he worked at, and he had something. He was on the conference call when I got fired, and I thought, you know, that in my mind made him like a part of it. But you know, I found out later on from him and other people that it was just kind of like he had to be there, like it wasn't his choice, and he fought for me, and I felt like a dick. And I held a grudge for like a good couple years. And then me and him did a show together, and I heard from a lot of people that they were like, man, he's a good guy, and you got him all wrong, and like blah, blah, blah. And it was really on me. I don't hold many grudges, and actually that's not true. If you fuck me over, I'll never forget it for my whole life. But in comedy, I don't have many. I have a handful, 3 or 4 people that I don't speak with. But other than that, it's like mostly good. Out of that handful, none of them are really comedians, any of them. I'm good with every comedian, I think, out there. But there's a couple bookers out there that I'm not so good with. And I don't give a fuck about it at all. You can take your Chinese restaurant on Route 1 and shove it up your fucking ass. Ooh! He went there. That's gonna make a splash. I don't give a fuck. Anyway, I'm pulling up to my destination. Let's end it on that one. It was great to hang out with Pat Oates, and expect some stuff from him in the future. And maybe him and me together. We'll do some cool stuff together. But just check him out too. Follow him on Twitter. And I had a lot of fun hanging out with him. And I hung out with him even when I should have been in bed getting rest. But I was like, this is Oates time. Honey bunches of Oates time. Oh, wow, I gotta go do an improvised comedy set, and I am not feeling good if I'm making shitty jokes like that. So, I'm gonna park this whip ski of mine, hopefully get a nice little spot, and go do this gig, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for listening. Check out my albums on iTunes. Check out the other podcasts I've been on, and support your local live comedy club. Don't just watch this shit at home. Go see a show. And remember this, most importantly, as I parallel park and finish a podcast at the same time while hitting a curb and possibly a Jeep Grand Cherokee. Damn it. Hold on, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna parallel park while recording a podcast. Has that ever been done? Is this a call Guinness? Alright, I'm parked. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the podcast. Thank you for listening. If no one told you they love you today, remember, I do.
More on Will Noonan at willnoonan.com. I said moron.
Really ate a lot of my own cock that night. And, that's unpleasant, because then you get the cock shits the next day. Classy joke.